I like Penn State coach James Franklin, but I think he's dead wrong about something. I'm going to tell you what that is next on Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. You know, I'm coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, so thanks for checking us out each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things just a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. All right, James Franklin's view is wrong. I'll tell you what that is. Plus, there's some coaching news in the Big Ten, football and maybe some basketball. Plus, we're going to cover the Big Ten tournament and classics and live action this weekend on the Big Ten Network. All right, let's jump into it. I like Penn State football coach James Franklin. I think he could be the head coach there for the Nittany Lions as long as he's coaching for the rest of his career if he wants. And now with the expanded college football playoffs, Penn State with its 10 wins per season, it's going to be a factor in the national stage. They'll get into the playoffs. But in my opinion, I think he's wrong about something. He recently was doing an interview with on3.com, and he said, look, I'm not changing anything this spring with spring football. We got 4 new teams coming in, UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington. They're coming into the league. He says if you look at their offenses and look at the offenses in the Big Ten, everybody's pretty similar. Big 12 and the Big Ten and the Pac-12, similar? I don't think so. I don't think they look anything alike. I completely but respectfully disagree with his take. By and large, the old Pac-12 and the Big Ten couldn't be more different offensively with their styles. In fact, I'll run down some of this. You know, in short, the Pac-12, they aired it out every week, while the Big Ten was much, much more conservative. So I'm going to make a few cases here. We'll see if you agree with me. I'm sure you do. But let's check it out here. First of all, I doubt, in all fairness to Franklin, that he really had the luxury and the time to watch a lot of Pac-12 football. He was busy with his own schedule there at Penn State. And, you know, maybe he got to watch Washington in the national championship game versus Michigan and formed his opinion on that one game. It seems like it. That game, by the way, was an anomaly because Michigan defensive coordinator Jesse Minter had one of the most beautiful game plans ever designed and shut down Michael Penix Jr., and the Huskies passing attack. Michigan made Washington look uncomfortable and ineffective and average. So normally, for those that watch Washington during the season, noted that Michael Penix Jr. had the most accurate deep ball in college football last year. At least that was my opinion. And they threw the ball a lot. We cannot say the same about Penn State's Drew Aller just yet, can we? No, and that's not a shot. That's just a fact. Penix threw for over 400 yards 4 times last season. He threw for over 300 yards in 6 more games last year, and he threw for over 4,900 yards. How many big teams could say their quarterback did that? Exactly. They can't. They can't. It's not part of the Big Ten. In all fairness, 2024, the Huskies lose almost all their starters for 2023. They'll have a new coach and perhaps a new style. So we'll wait and see how they're going to be. See if they air it out again or if they change things up. So I'll move on to Lincoln Riley and Southern Cal and the USC Trojans. Caleb Williams, he won the Heisman 2 years ago. He was slinging the ball over the field. And his replacement threw 6 touchdowns in the bowl game this past December. In 2023, USC averaged 42 points per game. You don't see that in the Big Ten. Michigan came close at 36 points per game, but it's not the norm in the Big Ten. By the way, USC also gave up 35 points per game. They were in shootouts every single week. Big Ten teams better be prepared for a shootout against the Trojans. unless they think that their own elite defenses can hold them in check. Now, honestly, I'm a little curious. I'm as curious as anybody else to see if and how the Big Ten defenses will do against the Trojans. As of today, I don't have an answer to that, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll see if things come back to normal for USC or if they can just score on anybody. Conversely, Michigan won with an offense that never threw the ball. Very unlike the Pac-12. In fact, if you're a Penn State fan, you know Michigan literally did not throw the ball in the second half versus Franklin's Nittany Lions and still won the game in their matchup. Not a single Pac-12 team that could have done that against them. How about Iowa? They never scored, and yet they found a way to win 10 games. You don't see teams like that in the Pac-12. Even Penn State's number one criticism from last year was that their offense either did not or could not throw downfield. They could not play the vertical game. Again, very un-Pac-12-like. See if things change with the new offensive coordinator this year at Penn State. Look, there's going to be an adjustment for a lot of teams. Even Oregon coach Dan Lanning said, look, the Ducks don't have to adjust to anybody in the Big Ten. The Big Ten has to adjust to us. Now, maybe that was a little false bravado. Maybe it'll be true. We'll find out soon enough. But I think these matchups that we have with these primo teams each and every week are going to be outstanding and a lot of fun. And maybe they'll be high scoring, or maybe they'll be grinded Big Ten type games. We'll find out. That's what's so exciting here about everything that's going on with this merger of the four new teams coming over into the Big Ten this season. Now, again, back to James Franklin for just a minute. Like I said at the beginning, I like James Franklin. I like him a lot. And I just disagree with something that he said. And maybe he's downplaying the differences between the Big Ten and the Pac-12 teams that are joining the Big Ten. Most coaches I know, most coaches that you know and follow, what they like to keep things kind of close to the vest. Maybe that's the case here. Maybe that's the case here as he's going and doing spring football and getting ready for the season. Either way, no matter who adjusts to whom, Penn State is going to be good. Like they always are. And they'll figure out things during spring practice, and they'll be in the mix for a college football playoff bid. But how they get there, the path they take, the ups and downs, the high-scoring games, the low-scoring games, we'll figure it all out together. Have a lot of fun. But I wanted to point that out and get your thoughts on James Franklin's comments about whether Big Ten and Pac-12 teams are pretty similar. I don't think so. Hit me up on Twitter or X at TalkBig10. Also, TalkBig10.com. Number 10 is our website. And, of course, comments on YouTube are always welcome. You guys have been at it. All the comments on YouTube as well. We always appreciate that. Also, be sure if you like this podcast or if you know somebody else, tell them to subscribe. Subscribe. It's free. You can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcasts. And that way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. By the way, we'll follow a little bit more of the Big Ten men's basketball tournament going on. And we're going to discuss a little more, something we talked about yesterday, more about Juwan Howard's future at Michigan. And a coach, football coach, jumped to his rival in Ann Arbor. What's up with that? We'll look into it. It's all coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. We are just warming up here, so thank you for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. And we got a lot to cover here. And also some recruiting news out of Iowa for Lisa Bluter and the Lady Hawkeyes. So all that and more coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. And just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to make it to the next level. How about the Nebraska Cornhuskers? Obviously, this week's Nissan Rogue, if you will. The team absolutely surprised all of us with its power performance. They went undefeated at home in Big Ten play this season. Nobody saw that coming. And they're giving them great momentum going into the Big Ten tournament as well and earning a double bye. Nobody saw that coming either. Nebraska football school, right? Nebraska volleyball school, right? Basketball school. So they say win life, go Rogue. And that's exactly what the Huskers have done here. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. That's right. Shop NissanUSA.com. That's NissanUSA.com. Want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe. You can share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig1010.com as well. All right, for today, Thursday, March 14th, Big Ten tournament basketball action. 8 seed Michigan State taking on 9 seed Minnesota. That is at noon Eastern on the Big Ten Network. 25 minutes after this game is over, 5 seed Wisconsin will take on Maryland, which beat Rutgers on Wednesday night. That's all on the Big Ten Network. Then the later games, 7 seed Iowa taking on 10 seed Ohio State, 6:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network, and 25 minutes after that, Indiana, 6 seed, will take on the winner of Penn State, Michigan. That game, Penn State, Michigan's going on right now as we're taping this podcast for you. So we'll see how that all plays out. Speaking of Michigan basketball, what happens to Juwan Howard at Michigan? There were reports, and I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but there were reports that athletic director Ward Manuel had not even given any thought about any changes with the basketball team. And that was about 3 weeks ago. He said that. Now, there was some chatter since that Howard, since he started the season with open heart surgery and was really kind of slow to get going, that maybe he was a mulligan, maybe an extra year to turn things around. But fans are getting a little edgy when they hear that. And a lot of upset people, as a matter of fact. Fans quit going to Chrysler Arena in droves. In fact, senior day was half empty. The crowd was half empty in there. And that usually gets people's attention. People are higher up and in charge of stuff. So what about now? This team racked up the most losses in Michigan history. They went 3-17 in the Big Ten this season, and they're far from being competitive. Perhaps Manuel is having second thoughts. So hearing a lot of stories on both sides of the ledger. Going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, we don't ever root for anybody getting fired, anybody losing a job. But if it's going to happen, we got to talk about it. Speaking of Michigan, Sharon Moore is replacing running backs coach Mike Hart. As you know, he left the program due to personal reasons last week. Well, guess who the new hire is? Ohio State running backs coach Tony Alford. Yes, Tony Alford is leaving Ohio State and taking a job at Michigan. Look, it's happened before, back and forth between the two schools, but not often. Not often. I always wonder what those conversations are like when Alford goes to Ryan Day's office. Hey, man, I got a new job opportunity. And Ryan Day's, oh, okay, cool. Look, I hate to lose you, but we wish you the best. Where are you going? Michigan. How's that go over? How's that go? And what does he come back and say, what are they offering you? All right, we'll double it. Whatever. We'll keep you here. I don't know how those conversations go. They got to be uncomfortable, right? Not only that, Alford was Ohio State's second longest tenured assistant coach behind Larry Johnson, who coaches the defensive line, by the way. Alford's been there since 2015 under Urban Meyer. He'd been there a while. He's coached running backs like Ezekiel Elliott, J.K. Dobbins, Travion Henderson. Been there a while. He's really good. He's also coached at Notre Dame, Iowa State, Washington, and Louisville. On top of that, Michigan gets a pretty good recruiter. So, bit of a blow to Ohio State. Good move by Michigan, I think. Interesting move. What do you guys think? Hit me up. All right. Now, I have another question for you. How will the Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball team look without Caitlin Clark? Certainly it's going to be a big loss. Somebody you have to replace as she moves on to the WNBA. Hannah Stuelke looks poised for a big junior year. Like, I think she'll probably be the focal point of the offense next year with Caitlin off to the WNBA. But even with Caitlin in the lineup, Stuelke scored a 47-point game earlier this year. Now, Lisa Bluter just landed a top 25 prospect. And if we're going to jump ahead here, it's 5-star Addison Deal, rated as the 12th best player in the country, and she's committed to the Hawkeyes. She picked the Hawkeyes over Iowa State, Indiana, Ohio State, and LSU, all cream of the crop women's basketball teams. Obviously, all the excitement around Caitlin Clark and Iowa certainly must have helped her make her decision. She averaged 15 points per game, 5 rebounds, and almost 3 steals a game last year. Word of warning to her. She's lived in California since she was 2. We're going to move to Iowa, buy a hat, buy some gloves, and buy some boots for the winter months. Just throw that out there. Recruiting updates here on Lockdown Big Ten, always brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. Hey, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's called Locked On Sports Today. And it's here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On. Plus, all of our national shows are over there. You can find Locked On Big Ten there from time to time. It's just constant rotation every half hour. Something new is going on there. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right. So what we like to do on Thursdays, I'll tell you, if you're new to our podcast, we always have a feature in our final segment. For example, Mondays, we always have our Big Ten top 10 observations for the weekend. They're my observations of everything that goes on, good, bad, ugly, funny, whatever. We always talk about it and we rank them on Mondays. On Tuesdays, kind of like our mailbag segment, Tuesdays, we do tweets, Tuesday tweets. Again, follow me on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. I'm on there all the time, pulling stuff and put it on here on the podcast on Tuesday. Maybe yours will be next week as well. Follow us on Twitter at Talk Big Ten number 10. Wednesdays are my Big Ten power rankings during the football seasons. Football, we just do men's basketball during the season. And I think I'll do one more next week, and then we'll have to find something else to rank. During the summertime, we do stuff like coolest helmets, best schedules, all that kind of stuff. Thursdays, we hit the Big Ten Network, and by the way, we're not affiliated with the Big Ten Network, but we have a common mutual interest. And so we always look ahead to the weekend schedules with their airings of Big Ten Classics, Living the Good Old Days, or live programming coming up this weekend, and we will do that coming up in just a minute. And then, of course, on Fridays, we do our picks, football or basketball, whatever time of the year it is. We always have fun with that. So all that's coming up right around the corner. We will check all that out together and look ahead. I'll give you a hint. There's a lot of Big Ten tournament stuff going on this weekend. So we'll take a look at classics and live action. That is next, 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. Hey, have you heard of Fire TV? Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. And Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV and provide you access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV, whether it's opening weekend of baseball, college basketball tournaments right now. You're going to want to have a Fire TV. And that's not all. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On. We're there. This is yet another place you can find us. And most of the big pro leagues and, of course, college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive right into the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date with all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, lots more. Everything right there. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, you could go to Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All righty. It is time to take a look ahead to the weekend and see what's going on Big Ten Network. Again, we're not affiliated with them, but we talk about all the same stuff. So let's figure it out, see what we can watch from classics to live action. We'll put it on screen here. In case you're on audio only, we will describe in the best detail as we can. And we will pick it up here with action on Friday, March 15th. And we'll start it off at noon Eastern, all times Eastern. We have the Big Ten tournament quarterfinal. That will be Purdue versus the winner of Michigan State, Minnesota. And then at 2:30, more of the quarterfinal, Northwestern versus to be determined. We'll figure that out shortly. And then Big Ten Live airs. It's the basketball tip-off show at 6 p.m. Eastern, getting ready for some nighttime action. More quarterfinal action from Minnesota. Illinois will take on the winner of Iowa, Ohio State. I have circled that Iowa-Ohio State game as must-watch TV. I think it's going to be a great game. Both teams are on the rise late in the season, and I'm going to be very interested to see how that one comes out. And then a late one at 9 o'clock Eastern. More quarterfinal action will be Nebraska against a team to be determined. All right, now let's take a look at Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, March 16th, we pick it up at 12:30. Big Ten Live semifinals pregame action. They're getting you warmed up on the Big Ten Network for that, and they're not going to carry those because they're on another network. And then they'll wrap it up at 5:30 with more Big Ten Live semifinals postgame, followed by 6:30. You hockey fans out there, Big Ten men's hockey, they're in their tournament. The semifinal will be Ohio State versus Michigan State. That's at 6:30, and then at 9 o'clock. I think I got the times mixed. So at 6:30, that is Ohio State and Michigan, and then more hockey at 9, Michigan versus Minnesota. And then we advance it to Sunday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. 1 o'clock Eastern. It's Big Ten basketball in 60. This is kind of like their classics edited down, play by play, like in football, it's snap by snap. Basketball, it's very fast paced. Boil a whole game. The first Big Ten semifinal from Saturday, the early one, they'll have it boiled down to 60 seconds of highlights. And then at 2 o'clock, they'll follow that up with the second semifinal, again, headed it down to a 60-second highlight show. And then they'll cap it off at 3 o'clock with Big Ten Live championship pregame before the Big Ten championship. Of course, once the Big Ten championship is played, Selection Sunday underway, we'll find out how many Big Ten teams make it into the NCAA tournament. I don't know how many yet. I think it's going to be a lot less than us Big Ten fans are used to. So prepare yourself for that. I'm not going to throw in 8 or 9 Big Ten teams into the NCAA tournament. Not even going to come close to that this year. Just a down year. I mean, only 2 ranked teams, right? Purdue and Illinois. And that's it. ACC's in a similar situation, too. Not as many teams are going to get in as usual. SEC and Big 12 is kind of where the action is at with ranked basketball teams and all that. I think they'll have big numbers in the tournament. But we'll find out together on Sunday. And, of course, we'll be talking about it here on Monday as well. Many ways in the meantime for you to reach out. And don't forget, we still have a show tomorrow we're going to do. Getting ready, jumping into the weekend, a little preview, more spring football talk, more basketball talk for the men's Big Ten basketball tournament. In the meantime, interact with me on Twitter, X, at TalkBig10, website, TalkBig10, 10.com. Everything we do is archived there. Plus, you get some swag there if you want to buy some shirts like I'm wearing, or for your favorite team. Pennants on the wall behind me, hats, it's all there. You can buy it. There's ticket information there too. If you want to go to some games, get all of that right on our website at talkbig10.com. And you can also hit us up with comments on YouTube as well. Whatever you do, please feel free to subscribe. That helps us out. And you can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Lockdown Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And after this, go ahead and watch another episode of Lockdown Big Ten. That would be great. I'll invite you to do that. You can also check out the new channel from Locked On YouTube called Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 sports streaming channel on YouTube. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for checking us out. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. For Lockdown Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman.